Let's take a look at our weekly statistics, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at the Chicago lakefront communities. This is the map of where we're going to look at information, basically from the South Loop up to Edgewater,
Take
all
our names
along the lakefront.
Take our names away. Take our names away.
I thought I took them away. Did I not?
Nope, they're there.
Sure,
All right.
Hold on, everybody. Oh, I know what I did. I changed the background instead of taking our names away. Silly me. Okay. All right. So I'm going to run through statistics pretty quickly here. First, let's look at attached. These are both condominiums and townhouses. Median sales price, $415,000. You can see the upward trend over the last 10 years or 12 years. Year to date, I'm looking at number of units sold. So this is January through May for the last 3 years. This year, almost 6,500 units. Last year, 6,530 units through May, and 3,814 the year before.
Really comparable, and in a year of low inventory, really impressive.
Right.
I would like to tell these people to knock it off. I'm getting
Don't text us during our show. Okay. Supply of homes, and we talk about this all the time. This is the number of months it would take to sell out what's currently on the market. Given the rate of sale right now for attached properties, it's 2.8 months. As you all are well informed by watching our show, you know that 6 months is neither a buyer nor seller market, but 2.8 months is definitely still a seller's market. Remember, this is a lagging indicator. It's backward looking. All right, so let's look at the same thing for single family homes. Median sales price, $1,225,000.
Wow.
Units sold, 581 year to date versus 631 last year and 364 the year before that. We're down a little bit. If you watched last week, you'll know that volume is actually a little bit higher than last year due to price appreciation. So, but still huge versus 2020. And this chart I pulled up or created because I was interested in knowing the number of sales, but what's the bell curve in terms of price point? And not surprisingly, $1.2 million, here we are, the most number of homes sold around 1 million. And this is last year versus this year. So we're not seeing significantly, although last year, more higher priced homes sold than this year to date. Okay. Supply of homes, 2.2 months worth of homes. You can see inventory starting to increase a little bit here, folks. We are not at our low, and that's not surprising. Okay. Kyle, everybody's talking recession. Last quarter, the economy shrank. If it shrinks again this quarter, which everybody expects it will, then we're technically in a recession. But just what? Hey, Tom. He's cleaning.
He's making my tea.
Do you hear the pots and pans crashing? Sorry, everybody. Okay. So in 2008, we saw a huge dip in home prices. But typically in a recession, we don't see that.
Well, but 2008 was our bubble. It was a real estate caused, or largely real estate and financial market caused recession.
Right.
So not a surprise.
Right. But we're hearing out there people talking about, oh, the boom's over, and you're going to talk about that in a little bit more, but we're just giving some background information to prep your segment of the show here. NAR thinks we're going to have about as many sales in 2022 as we did in 2020 when it's all said and done, which is higher than pre-pandemic levels.
Yep.
Current mortgage rate compared to the last 5 decades, folks, 4.09% was in the 2010s, and that was a historically low rate period.
And those rates were done to try and salvage the real estate market after, and the financial markets after the crash of 2008. I mean, that was an artificially low period of time.
Yes. Good point. Good point. And so then the question is, what's going on today? Everybody's like, oh my gosh, rates have gone up, rates have gone up. Well, yeah, many people are saying that they think we've hit our peak. Last week they came down a little bit, and they did what they wanted to do, which was take the heat out of the market a little bit. And here again, this is where rates have been from January 22. Look how low they were at 3.11. Now we're at 5.09. And then Mike Frantantoni, chief economist at MBA, says mortgage rates are likely to plateau. If you're looking to buy a home, I would still recommend you do so even at the higher rates, says Shivani Peterson. Home values are only going to go up, is what they say. And here we see price appreciation since 2012. This is nationally, remember, but you saw the chart earlier with the prices going up. I thought this was interesting. I just had to throw it in because we have clients who are buying second homes, who are right sizing, and are looking at different parts of the country. So I thought I would throw this in here. Year over year by region, the South, not surprisingly, up 22% price appreciation. Isn't that crazy? Midwest, though, up 8.7%. The West up 4.3%. And that includes some quieter areas, obviously. Some areas are hot, like Colorado or California. But nationally, 14.8% price appreciation. I've said before, home purchases are a good hedge against inflation. This chart shows us since the 70s, inflation versus home price appreciation. So look, in the 70s, when we had 7% inflation, 9.9% home appreciation. 80s was pretty flat. 2000s was a little low, but that was our 2008 situation. But look at this. 15% home price appreciation versus 7% inflation. And this is the median asking rent since 1988. Rents have done nothing but go up as well. So we all have to live somewhere, folks, unless you want to be on the street. So the question is, do you want to own your own home, or do you want to hedge against inflation? Despite the fact that people are saying rates are going up a little bit, and they're still historically low, it's a very good time to be buying. So that's.
Yes. So we've got some stuff to talk about here, and you touched on it, Anne. The media is talking about the boom is over. Well, the crazy hot has died down for now due to a couple of things. And those couple of things are, one, there are not enough homes to buy, and two, interest rates have shocked us how much they've gone up in a short amount of time. But your chart shows that they are still low.
Right.
But it is shocking. It is a surprise. And I'm not going to downplay it. When we talked last week about how going from 4 to 6.5% interest rates, as we did between February and today, is $124 for every $100,000 of purchase price above what you're paying on your mortgage. So it is not insignificant. It's not insignificant, and yet it is still better than renting because rents are going up and you get nothing for it.
Exactly.
The rental market, we'll see. There was an article that in Cranes where their residential real estate, the purchase side of it is reported by a guy named Dennis Rodkin, and then there's another reporter whose name I don't remember. Was talking about, it focuses on the rental market, the commercial real estate, which is the rental market, and they are booming because one, during the pandemic, or the part of the pandemic when we were shut down, there was no financing. And so they don't have enough units. And so because we have really high employment, they're able to really price anything they want for rents. So rents are super duper high. And I know there are people who say, well, Kyle, I can't pay, a mortgage seems really, really high, but I'll pay that for rent. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
It's only going to get higher for renting,
right?
And you're going to get nothing from it. And people, the beautiful thing is the ability to refinance. You can refinance.
Right.
And there are, and I think you talked about this last week. There are still programs with very low down payment.
Absolutely. There are 3% down options available for first-time buyers. And as you pointed out,
with appreciation going up, soon you will have the higher amount of equity that gets you out from under home private mortgage insurance, which is not a lot of money per month. No, it's an irritation. I don't want to pay it, but it's not a ton of money anyway. So So one of the things people they've been talking about in the news, the boom is over, and I got to tell you that that kind of negativity creates a feeling that is not actually present. The boom is over, but we still have a healthy market. The crazed misery for buyers seems to be abating, and we're having a much more healthy market. There are still properties to buy. There's still and the good properties sell. The well-priced properties sell, not the good properties sell, because they're all good. But this negativity. The city is still better than the pre-pandemic time period. He's Rodkin, who I admire, and I read him every week, but he's irritating me right now. It's down in the metro area, largely outside in the suburbs, because they don't have enough to sell. I mean, they don't have enough properties. So yeah, it's down. It is down because there aren't enough homes for all the demand. In the city, there are more homes for the demand, and they're selling, and we're still above those levels, which is great. And he also is making it sound Chicago's boom is over, and you just talked about it. The boom is easing around the country because of the rise of rates, because of some of the areas are really unaffordable. Chicago,
but I would postulate that's a good thing. We needed to take the heat out of the market. It was too much. It was not good for the economy. Now people, and it's not good for the buyers and the sellers. Now people can take a more measured approach. We're back to a regular housing market. That's good, people. That's good. And all signs indicate that's not going to cause a decline in pricing. Hopefully you were in the market because prices went up, and they're going to be stable. Everything points to them being stable. So this is good.
Here's one more data point. In the nation right now, median home prices in May, because everything's looking back, were $407,000. So that's all types of housing, and that is the median sale price. In Chicago, they were $327,000. We are a very affordable city in the U.S. So you can reach your dreams, people.
Right. And, we've gone up about 10%, but that's below the national average of 14%. And being an old lady in real estate, I remember back in 87 when California and New York had recently had these huge appreciation numbers, and in 87 they crashed and we didn't. So this measured approach to a housing market means you're not going to have these big bouncy corrections. It's just going to be a nice steady appreciation or stable. That's it. This is a good place, babes. Okay.
Do you remember? So I don't know if you guys watched in March. We did show with some really bizarre properties. And one of the bizarre properties for sale was the penthouse. And I'm going to show you a picture of it. Hold on. Settings. Oops, not settings. Share screen. It's like the first time. I'm going to share a window. There we go.
All right.
Okay, so this is
Ooh,
the lake.
I like that picture.
Yeah, do you remember?
Yeah.
This is the slide deck that I used then. So it used to be the restaurant Cité at the top of Lake Point Tower, and I thought it spun, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't anymore.
I thought it did too. Now, I do have to tell you this. One of my dear clients went there in like the last 2 months to have dinner. So it's still evidently open for meals.
Yeah, I think it's being rented for space. Is it open?
They had a dinner there. Yeah. Yeah. We had a whole conversation about it. Terribly overpriced, but good food. And look at those views. You can't beat those views. That's awesome.
So right now they are marketing, and shoot, I should have had this up too. They are marketing it as a home. So let's go back and look at these pictures. There would be they would slice it. There's a big core in the middle of this building, because they're elevators, I guess, where it's unusable space. So it's sort of like a tire,
right.
A tire on a wheel that it's the outside space that is, and they turn some into a kitchen, some into a dining room. They have so much space. It's 5,000 people. So square feet. I'm unsharing. Share. Stop screen. There we go. So 5,000 square feet. So at the time we showed it, I think it was marketed at 4.9. It may have been 4.7. I don't have my notes anymore, and I can't find it. It's now being sold as an asset in bankruptcy and marketed as a home, not a restaurant. And not only this, you get 5,000 square feet in the unit, or their, give or take is what they put, plus or minus. But you also get their office. Cité had office space, 2,650 square feet of storage office space on the second floor. So you get that too, which you could sell off. I think you could probably sell those off as, as office condos, like Goodden or something, or rent them out. But bids are due on August 1, and the minimum price is $4 million. You have to be you have to be ready to close 10 days after the bankruptcy court enters an order authorizing the sale.
So tell me again, $4 million gets you 5,000 square feet or more, depending on the option.
7,650 square feet, 5,000 up top, and all this office storage space.
And 5,000 gets you the whole thing, or gets you half of it? The whole thing.
No, the whole thing. No. 4 million gets a minimum bid of 4 million. Right. Now, I have clients in Lake Point Tower. They are delighted. They are delighted that it's going to turn into a home rather than a business. Because imagine right now all the security issues with unescorted people going up to a restaurant. So, interesting.
Very interesting. Wow, we'll have to follow that. Stay on that, Kyle. Keep us posted.
Okay.
I love it. Share with everybody what you did to figure out whether your property was an anomaly or if your property was typical for number of showings.
So this property that I've got is, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,650 square feet. It's in the best tier. Huge 2-bedroom. It's in the best tier of the building that is the Ambassador House on State between Banks and Goethe. It's on a low floor though, which makes it less appealing than a high floor because you can't see the lake. But it's a really nice unit. It's move-in ready. And we were priced absolutely right. But right now, summer, People have other things to do. People are doing other things. Interest rates are rising. We're going to talk more about this. We haven't had a lot of showings yet. And so I wanted to understand if it's us or if it's the Gold Coast. And so I did a search through the data that Ann and I, as agents, have access to of all 2-bedrooms in the Gold Coast in our price range. And then I went and looked at, through an application that only agents have access to called Showing Time, whether those units had showings scheduled for the weekend or the days out that I could see. And none of them did. So I immediately informed my seller that it's not your unit. It's not what we're doing. It's that people right now aren't looking for 2 bedrooms in the Gold Coast. So we have to be comfortable, hang tight, because our buyer is out there. We had good showings when we were new. I think we will have good showings as soon as people have fewer things on their agenda. But right now we don't. But as an agent, I was able to understand what's going on in the market because I have access to all the data.
Well, because here's the thing that sellers need to remember. We can't create a market. We can't gin up a buyer. If the buyer's not there, then there's nothing we can do about it, right? Now, I mean, at some point you can reduce your price low enough that somebody will say, oh, I wasn't thinking about buying, but this is such a good deal, I'll buy. But sellers don't want to do that, and they shouldn't have to do that. But the point is, if you're like everybody else, if you're not, and like one of the things that I'll do, and this is off topic of what our typical agenda, sorry folks, but I want to say this, is I will look at like the 3 most comparable properties. And if nobody else is going under contract of those 3 that are most like ours, we're not losing to anybody. Just like you're not, people aren't overlooking you. Nobody's getting showings. So
right.
It's just something to keep in mind. Our job is to expose the property in its best possible light to as many people as possible, right? To the marketplace.
Yeah.
And then the marketplace takes over. So,
wow.
That was quite a rant for first thing in the morning, huh?
Well, it's not a rant, but what we're really doing is showing you that an agent really does stuff to because if I hadn't done that, we might have thought there was something wrong with the price, but there's nothing wrong with the price. All the feedback we've gotten from the brokers and the buyers is this isn't the right one for me, but you're priced right. We came, and if this were the right unit for us, we would pay for this. It's that's where things are. So trying to understand the full picture is something that agents do for sellers. They also do that for buyers. Sometimes I'll check out how many showings the properties that I am my buyers want to see. I'll go into Showing Time and I'll search. Mm-hmm. And if it's full, I'm like, we got to get in right now. Drop what you're doing. We got to. If it's not, I'll still want to be prompt just in case something pops up in the future. But I will also know maybe there's some room here because people aren't signed up. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So don't we have we've got a new segment for new brokers.
Yes. Well, we talked about doing this, new brokers or, excuse me, insights for the public into what we do, right?
Yes.
Like if you're taking an agent.
Yeah, it gives you both. So I had a question from a new broker who asked me, what do I do? And so I thought it would be a good thing for us to answer here on our video, because actually agents are watching us. And I'm a new agent. I've been asked to cover somebody's final walkthrough for their buyer because the agent's out of town. What do I do? What is my role in a final walkthrough?
As the buyer's agent or the listing agent?
As the buyer's agent.
Oh, you're springing this on me. I didn't expect this question.
Okay, well, I've got some ideas.
So first of all, the point, let's talk first what the point of the walkthrough is. The point of the walkthrough is to make sure that the home is vacant, in broom clean condition per contract, and ready for the buyer to close, because you don't want to close with a squatter in there. That would be a problem.
Or just a ton of junk. A ton of junk.
So you want to, the reason for doing the walkthrough is to make sure that it's vacant. It's also got to be, everything's got to be in working order, and you want to make sure that there's no big problem with the property, wear and tear accepted. Meaning, when they moved out, did they break a window? Did they take knock down a wall? Did they do something terrible? Are the appliances working as per contract? Do you have air conditioning working? If you put, your offer in March when it was too cold to turn it on, is it now in June working? Those kinds of things. Do the, burners turn on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's the purpose of the walkthrough. So as you accompany that buyer through, we coach them in this process, give them a checklist or coach them verbally while they're there. But, it's not the agent's responsibility to make sure it's all working. It's really up to the buyer, but we can coach them. So, one of the things risk-wise that I would tell an agent is, don't start doing it and turning everything on and announcing that it works to the buyer, because that puts you in a risk place. But certainly make sure the buyer knows everything to check. But at the same time, here's where it gets tricky. The contract says broom clean condition. So there may be, nail holes, or there might be little things in the wall. Hopefully you negotiated what to do with the TVs and the TV mounts, because that's gotten to be a big deal. Is there a hole in the wall? Is the TV mount still there, et cetera, et cetera. If the agent has done the negotiating properly, then you have a nice smooth walkthrough with nothing. The other thing is, there are a couple of quick caveats. Check the keys. Make sure the keys operate the doors. Make sure you have a mailbox key, because if you don't, it's a pain in the neck to get a new one from the post office. So make sure you have your garage transmitter. Make sure you know where the storage is. The storage is empty. Am I forgetting anything?
I often ask them to ask the agent, were there items in the contract that had to be fixed? Because those things you'll want your buyer, to your point, to check out.
Yeah.
To confirm. Go see whether X was fixed. Is there
the leak under the sink being a typical one, right? Make sure that that's been repaired, that kind of thing. Absolutely right. So any personal property you expect to be there should be there. You don't want missing chandeliers or.
And sometimes, because you haven't been doing the contract, you've got to ask those questions so that you are prepared to be the biggest help for the buyer. That's what goes on.
Okay.
All righty. We'll have more of these as we hear from our young buyers or new agents. What am I supposed to do? We'll share that with you.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We are on a good week.
We are. Good to see you as always. You have an excellent week. Everybody, we'll be back next week on Monday Morning with Kyle and Ann. Monday Morning Coffee with Kyle and Ann. And please send us your questions, because we always love answering those on air.